Hello and welcome back to the Naked Expat channel. Today I'd like to talk about one of the things that you see on YouTube all over the place with Filipinas giving advice to foreigners about dating a Filipina, and a lot of the information would probably apply to Western guys wanting to date anybody in Asia, not just the Philippines. And I get so frustrated with some of the advice that's given that I'm thinking, well, no, that's just not right. Or it's extremely biased towards like a female perspective. I'll give you an example. I was watching a vlog very, very recently with a popular YouTuber. And whether or not these messages and emails that she gets are real or just made up so that she can have something to talk about as far as content is concerned, I just don't know. I just speculate. But anyway, this was one of the emails. And the email that she had was that this Westerner had come over to the Philippines and he'd flown all the way, like halfway around the world, and he traveled to meet this girl that he'd been talking to online. And he went into the province and he'd spent 2 weeks in the province with her. And throughout all of that 2 weeks, everything was going okay. But even after 2 weeks, he'd not touched her or kissed her, and she was very shy and sort of moved away. And the advice that was given is like, well, you know, you Westerners are looking for somebody like a forbidden fruit and like a Vestal virgin. So just be patient and it will come, you know, give her time. And I'm like, what? That is complete nonsense in most instances. There was no sort of, hang on a minute, as far as the Westerner was concerned, how old are you? Because a lot of guys, a lot of younger guys, aren't able to travel halfway around the world as a Westerner because it's too expensive. But let's assume the guy is like in his late 20s or early 30s. And he meets and goes through all of the effort of meeting this Filipino in the province. Then, okay, maybe that advice is poignant, because if you've got time to invest in that relationship, you can, you know, and you haven't got a lot of life experiences yourself, even though you've flown halfway around the world, you can take that journey together as boyfriend, girlfriend, and fiance, and maybe get married in the future and enjoy that journey. Well, yeah, that's fantastic. Then it would apply. But without knowing how old this guy is, that advice is just complete nonsense, because I'm sorry, quite frankly, most men do not want a woman or a young girl with no experience whatsoever, because that's just going to end up being a train crash. Look at this scenario whereby you've got a guy maybe in his mid to late 40s or 50s or 60s or even older. If that was the case in this scenario, then you've got to ask yourself the question, well, what are you doing online talking to a girl in her late teens, early 20s with no life experience and maybe, you know, even like a Vestal virgin and untouched? Why? You know, are you that insecure in yourself, or you have some sort of kink that's what does it for you? Because again, it's going to end in tears. You think that as an older guy dating for your own ego a very young girl over the age of 18 is going to work. Well, chances are it's not, because unless you're very unusual in that, say you're in your 40s plus and you've not had kids before and you really want to have kids and you want to have kids with somebody that doesn't have children already, then yeah, okay, maybe. But that's probably only 1% of Westerners that are looking for that. The vast majority want a Filipina because they've heard that Filipinos make good, loyal girlfriends, fiancés, wives. And yes, they do, but within reason. You've got to remember that the Philippines is a developing country, not a third world country. And as it develops, women, just like men, are becoming more and more materialistic, individualistic, and they know their own minds. Women from the 1980s and 1990s, including Filipinas, were probably a lot more homely than they are now. Millennials and Gen Zs are much more demanding. So yeah, you're going to get a Filipina that is going to love and take care of you. But if you're an older guy with a very young Filipina, chances are she's not grown up and got to know herself in her teens dreaming about marrying some old guy in his 50s and 60s from the West. No, she's dreamt about being married and having her own family. Well, if you're a Westerner and you want a family, great. But trust me, then your freedom goes. And it is very, very true. I'm a solo parent myself, that once you have kids, you move from being a boy to a man. And it's very, very true when you become a father and all the responsibilities therein. And it's very expensive. So be prepared for it, obviously. I'm not talking to you like you're stupid, but you have to realize that if you date a young Filipino, chances are she's going to end up getting pregnant, because there's a long-standing saying that all you have to do is look at a Filipino the wrong way and she'll get pregnant. There's a lot of single mothers out there that are around the world, not just in the Philippines. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to have kids, there is absolutely no point in ruining a Filipina or another Asian culture's ladies' dreams because they want kids and you don't want to give them to them. So she's either going to get pregnant and have kids anyway, in which case, you know, you've fallen down that rabbit hole. So if you date a very young Filipina or any Asian girl and you don't want kids, you're going to have to be extremely careful. Probably wise to get a vasectomy before you come to Asia, because otherwise she's going to end up getting pregnant, whether you like it or not. It's only a matter of time. The clock is ticking. What you don't see online from these Filipinos, which makes a lot of sense, is, let's say you're an expat looking to come to Asia and you're in your late 40s or 50s, 60s. Let's say you're 55. A 15-year age gap means that your Filipino is 40. Now that's perfect in that chances are she's had children already, she's got a lot of life experience, and she's looking for a man to take care of her, and she wants to take care of you. She isn't desperate to have any more children because she's got children already, so she's been there, seen it, done it. So that's what you want. You want a woman that's going to love you and take care of you, and it's you and her against the universe. Now, that's more like a cougar. Why not date a cougar and not a puppy dog? Because a puppy dog that you're going to have to house train, it's me, and is very, very demanding and probably wants kids, and your life is going to completely change because of that, is not ideal. And trust me, if you're in your mid-50s, as per my example, you'll say 55 plus, you've still got that dynamic that you're 15 years older than your Filipino partner who's 40 or in her late 30s. Well, that's good, because chances are you're not going to get a partner in the West who's 15 years younger than you. It's unusual. It does happen, but it's unusual. So you still have the ego trip of feeling more virile and being with a girlfriend, fiancé, wife who's a lot younger than you, but she's not a puppy dog. And you can have that kind of mental stimulation together that you don't get if you're dating some little pretty thing. And trust me, it's very, very true that Filipinas can take care of their men very well. Why not have a situation whereby you're 55 and your Filipina is in her late 30s, early 40s, 15-year age gap? Yeah, fantastic. She's still fit, attractive, got lots of energy, and she's going to take care of you forever. And when you get very old, in your 70s and 80s, and you can't wipe your own ass, she's going to be there to help you out and do it for you. A pretty little thing? Nah, probably not. That's never going to happen. So forget that pipe dream. You don't want it. You don't need it. Ask yourself this question, my friend, and be very, very honest with yourself. When you go on to Philippine dating sites like Filipino Cupid and Pina Love and whatever else, there's plenty of fish and Bumble, and there's so many of them, Christian dating. You got the opportunity to put in age preferences. Now, I bet you, because I've done this myself, I bet you, let's say you're, in my example, you're in your 50s. I bet you that you've gone from like 18 to 30. You say, oh, okay, well, I'll look at 18 to 30. Even though you know in your head that chances are you're probably more well matched to somebody between the age of like 30 and 45. But we've all done it. We've all gone back, 18 to 30, that's good, because I don't want somebody with too much baggage or too much attitude. But with that comes all the issues of a very young woman, and chances are a lady that wants to have kids and have a family, and you probably don't. So you're much, much better off looking at women that are 30 plus. And chances are those women have got real photos online. They are unfiltered. Because of the wonders of modern technology, the vast majority of time when you go online, women have got beauty filters added to their photos. When you video chat now, you can video chat with filters. And if you are lucky enough to talk to somebody that maybe lives in the province rather than a materialistic city girl, you've got the situation whereby, okay, well, you've got this honest, God-fearing young lady that you want to talk to in the province. But when you actually go there, she could be very, very different to this persona that you'd built up in your head. Because the reality very much is the best way to meet a Filipina is boots on the ground. You come to the Philippines without any desperate need to find a woman, but you're open to it. And you walk around, you talk to people. You grow a backbone, you get a spine, or to be more crude, you grow a pair. And you go out and you start talking to people. And then you'll soon build up an idea of the type of woman that you want to be with. Now, if your circumstances don't really allow for that, then yeah, certainly try chatting online first. But don't just fully invest in one person. Be open and honest. I say, yeah, I really like you. I'm talking to other ladies as well. But sure, if I come to the Philippines, let's date, let's chat. And keep your options open, but date within a realistic age group, because you'll be far more happy with somebody that's maybe 15 years younger than you are with somebody that's like 20 or 30 or 40 years younger than you. We're just going to end up being a nightmare and a financial drain, because the only time you're going to have a large age gap in the West, and you're, say, in your 50s and your girlfriend is in her 30s, is if you can afford it. If you're a wealthy guy. Well, if you're a wealthy guy, chances are you're not going to become an expat in Asia, because there's other places in the world as a wealthy guy that are probably more suited to your lifestyle, like Dubai or wherever, or the French Riviera, Portugal, Cascais or somewhere. Not Asia. Asia is generally for sort of middle income. So in summarising, I've been an expat from the UK, living in Asia for nearly 20 years now. I've seen it, done it myself, or experienced it from others with regards to dating, relationships, and trust me, if your relationship has a huge age gap, apart from very, very few exceptions, it all ends in tears. It does. It's very, very true what they say about Filipinas. But if you date a Filipina and you want a long-term loving relationship, you got to go old school. And you really, 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 as a guy in his, say, 50s plus, should be dating somebody late 30s, early 40s onwards, because they're going to love you and cherish you and be very, very grateful for anything that you give them, and they want to be there for you. They want a man and they want a relationship after maybe finding it tough and being on their own for some time, bringing up their children on their own. They're grateful. They want to take care of you, and they will take care of you much, much better than any fickle little young puppy. Date within a reasonable age group and you're going to be very, very happy. Trust me. The most successful relationships that I've seen in Asia have been with young Westerners that have come over and maybe in their 20s or 30s working in the oil and gas industry, and they've met a local Asian, maybe they're in their 30s and the Asian's like in their 20s, and they've ended up being boyfriend, girlfriend, engaged, married, and whilst the, say, Filipina is looking after the children, the Westerner is off on the oil rigs, oil and gas industry, making good money, normally tax-free or very, very tax efficient. And then lo and behold, when the guy is ready for retirement in his mid to late 50s or 60s, he's got a good pension, he's got savings built up, the kids have grown up already, and sort of flown the nest or about to fly the nest. And the guy's there with his beautiful Filipino or Asian wife. He's in his 60s, the wife's in her late 40s, 50s, and they've had a beautiful, wonderful relationship and a wonderful life. Yeah, that's perfect. That's been my experience. The vast majority of expats, true expats, long-term Westerners living in Asia, it always seems to work. Where the problem lies is when guys come over here in their 50s, like kids in candy stores, and they're not thinking with their head, they're thinking with their groin, and they get involved with very, very young women who are demanding, and they want this, they want that, and it's me, me, me. And as soon as a better option comes along, they go. And whether you like it or not, the Philippines is changing and becoming more modern, more materialistic than it ever used to be. And there are a lot of Filipinos now that have got money. Sure, as an expat, you probably don't want to date somebody from a town or a city, because if they've got a reasonable education, they're probably not going to be interested in you anyway. And provincial girls, provincial women can be a better option. Yeah, definitely. But choose very, very wisely. And as I've said, if you've got somebody that's closer to your own age, up to say 15 years age gap, you're going to be happy and you're never going to look back. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. I know it's a little bit hard hitting, but I do promise to just keep things simple and strip back to basics. You don't need any BS. You want to know how it is from expats that do actually live in Asia and can give you a hands-on experience, hands-on advice of what it's really like. You don't need a perspective from a Filipino if you're a foreign man. You need advice, true advice, without the BS, from other foreign men that have lived it or are still living it, and they're in the country, and they can give you the first-hand experience that you need to know so you don't make the big mess-ups that others have done and you follow in their wake. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and make any comments in the section below. I'll try and answer them as best I can. Thank you.